Wow, Dratnos, that is such a nice rank 5 legendary that you have. I only have rank 4s because I'm stuck in 9.0.5. How did you get that rank 5 legendary?
I'm glad you asked, Tettles. So you can upgrade your legendary to rank 5 and 6 using a bunch of cool and exciting new currencies, which will fill your currency tab real quick, multiple pages of it.
So
Um,
sick.
yeah. The main thing you're going to use is Soul Cinders. Rank 5 and 6 legendaries don't require any new Soul Ash. You do need to have spent the 5,000 Soul Ash to get your legendary to rank 4, or if you're crafting a new rank 5 or 6, you will need to spend that Soul Ash. But the good news there is that Soul Ash is basically, they're like doubling the Soul Ash rewards effectively next patch, and they're making it so you can spam Torghast for Soul Ash as well. So that should never really be a problem. At most, it'll be an annoying couple extra Torghast runs at some point. The Soul
Yeah.
Cinders are the new gated currency. And so it takes 1,100 to make a rank 5 legendary and 1,650 cumulative, so not that much more, only another 550 to make your rank 6 legendary. You can get about 510 per week by doing 2 layer 12 Torghast runs, and then by doing some weekly and bi-weekly events that are in Korthia, which is the new section of the Maw. So on the 3rd week of the patch, you can make your rank 5, and on the 4th week of the patch, you can make a rank 6. You can delay it by 1 week so you don't have to buy that rank
Yeah.
5 profession item if you prefer more about the gold. And there might be some quests that give a couple extra soul cinders that will get us 1 week faster on this, right? You can see the numbers here are pretty close to within 1 week of that.
Yeah, on top of that too, they're also changing a lot of different stuff in Torghast. They're adding like timers, some scoring system. That's not super like a lot of the focus of this video. We're talking more about the legendaries and stuff like that. There's also a lot of stuff coming in Torghast rework, so you guys can go check that out as well in terms of like how the Terra Grew is functioning, scoring kind of affixes for Torghast, that kind of stuff is
There's
changing.
yeah, there's a new like score system where you want to try and complete as fast as possible, killing as much stuff
Exactly.
as possible, and then if you can do that, I think you can get your sockets next tier out of that as well. So definitely worth looking into and doing. Might make Torghast more fun as well. We'll
I've
see.
heard
The
good things
jury's
about
still
it.
out on that. It's hard for it
Yeah.
to get any worse. But the other stuff that's happening with legendaries is they are crafted, the base items, using some new stuff. So the first thing you need is a Vestige of Origins, which is an optional crafting regent, which you use to upgrade the ranks of the legendary when you're crafting it. Now, these things are crafted using a bunch of expensive materials, and you need to use some Stygia as well to learn how to craft them. And then you need Korthite crystals. And Korthite crystals drop from like rares, daily or weekly stuff, and treasures in Korthia. And they are not BOP. So you can sell
Exactly.
these on the auction house. If you are not a crafter, you should sell these and they'll probably be worth quite a bit. But you will then need to buy the products that they're made from, and that will cost quite a bit. So the cycle of money flows to the crafters in the end.
Yeah, I mean, if you want like a pretty good recommendation, I think you should wait until like maybe midway through Heroic Week to be able to maybe beginning of Heroic Week to midway through Heroic Week to be looking to craft your legendaries. At least at like rank 5 and rank 6, having them at rank 4 is still pretty worth at this point. But shelling out for all those Korthite crystals can cost a lot. What is your guild doing? Are you guys gonna shell out for them, or are you just like expected to farm them, like spam rares? Because you can, I think there's like almost an unlimited amount that you can mail them between characters. You can go on alts to
Yeah, I mean
farm them. You
they're
can kill a
just
bunch of rares. Like they just drop, right?
this is just part of the economy, right? Like if you
Yeah.
didn't really engage with how the rank 1 through 4 base items were crafted, and you just paid the gold at the auction house, you can do that this time as well. But now this is something where everybody who's doing Korthia stuff will be getting this Korthite crystal that is extra money from doing all that. In particular, I think that people who have alts doing Korthia stuff will be in a good spot to sell that Korthite crystal, make a little bit of extra income. But yeah, there again, you can wait to just go straight to rank 6 instead of stopping off at rank 5 for a week or two at that 249 item level. That's a decision that everybody's got to make for themselves, and I wouldn't blame you one way or the other on that. However, you might want to change which slot you are crafting your legendary into from where
Oh
it
yeah.
is right now. Now, if you want to do this, there's not actually any reason to do it right now, But when you do craft your 5 or 6, if you have the extra Soul Ash, which you'll get a ton from just farming the Soul Cinders, so you should be pretty close even if you're going into patch 9.0 with 0 Soul Ash. You may want to move your legendary off of a socket, or off of a slot where there will be a domination socket. So again, Shards of Domination there, this new system of stuff that comes from the raid. It's like a 7% DPS increase to get all of the damage ones, and those function even outside of raid. And there's set bonuses that's even more DPS increase inside the raid. So you do want these if you can get your hands on them. It's worth dropping item levels to get them at heroic gear if you can't mythic raid. It's worth dropping item levels to get them at normal gear, probably in a couple cases too. So definitely
7%
something.
is a lot of damage, like a very substantial amount of damage. That's more than 5 like non-weapon slots will ever give you. It's like head, shoulders, chest, and then like 2 assorted pieces.
Yeah, you can kind of think of these domination slots as being like 20 or 30 item levels higher, something like that. Maybe even a little bit more for the first shard or two. So if that's something you'd be comfortable passing up on, then you don't have to worry about this. If not, then that means that you're going to want to move your legendary off of those slots. So the slots for that are... they are helms, shoulders, chests, and then another 2 slots based on your armor type. So I've made a little spreadsheet combined with cool... So a spreadsheet, this base spreadsheet came from somebody called Ari, and then there's information I yoinked from a survival guide by somebody called Larius, and then I did a bunch of other yoinking of information from a bunch of different sources to synthesize into this spreadsheet, which shows where all of the different good drops are for different things next season. I'll put a link to this in the description of this video. And the basic news is that there's a couple of free slots for each armor type, and then there's a couple slots that have, like, you know, these 259s, which means there's higher item level drops from Kel'Thuzad or Sylvanas if you're going to be killing those bosses, either on heroic or mythic, right? If your gear is going to include Sylvanas and Kel'Thuzad items, then it might be better to craft in the other slots, right? So figuring this out, the main thing you're going to want to do is just avoid the domination slots. And then if you want to do a little bit more min-max, you can use the other stuff as like a tiebreaker for what other slot to craft your thing into. Other good piece of news is that if your legendary was previously in 2 domination slots, they're adding a 3rd slot that it can go into next patch. And any legendary in 9.1 that goes in a slot that can have a regular socket will have a regular socket. So you don't need to worry about like pre-socketing your legendary, which was something that briefly looked like it was the meta.
Okay,
people have wasted some resources on.
It's not even just like pre-socketing your legendary. I don't know if you knew a ton about how it worked, but you would have to have the Stygia, and so on the Venari vendor right now, this socket item is going away in 9.1. But you could socket like legendaries from the past, so you could like bank or like hold on to the socket item, craft the legendary that you would need to put on the domination slot after the patch dropped, and then socket it. So we were having our raiders like purchase these like old socket items from Venari so we would be able to socket it. So this change is actually pretty good news. Also, those items were unique. So if you wanted multiple legendaries, no can do, bucko.
So basically, if all of that sounded extremely complicated and dumb to you, the good news is basically none of it is relevant with this change.
Yes, correct.
So that is fantastic news. There's not any degenerate like hoarding, stockpiling to try and squeeze one extra socket out of the system. But yeah, you do potentially want to recraft your legendary over into something that's at least not going to have a domination slot next patch. But again, recraft, it doesn't have to be done before you get it. You can just do it when you would upgrade to rank 5 or 6.
And there's like that. There's a great article too that's by the Wowhead Guide writers that does talk about like the legendaries that you want to recraft and the slots that you really want to recraft them. And then I think the asterisk that is next to them means that it was in a domination slot.
The asterisk
is
like
that
it's
legendary.
It's a new legendary
that's
slot.
Yeah, exactly. It's one of the new slots that's being formed. So that's what the asterisk means. Those are the legendaries that you should like look for that may be useful come the next patch and that you want to recraft potentially. So useful article.
You could take a look for this yourself. You can always, if you're wondering where the legendary is going to go, you can always open the legendary page on Wowhead and then click the PTR button to see if it gets a new slot where it can go in the PTR. That's a useful little way to use the site to help figure this sort of thing out for yourself and see what your options are going to look like.
Exactly.
Okay. let's talk a little bit about Covenant Legendaries, because this is the other big new piece
Woohoo.
of Legendary news in the new patch. Every Covenant, every Covenant class combo is getting a new Legendary power. Most of them are pretty lame. But
True.
a solid percentage of them, a solid chunk of them are either compelling or very compelling. So it's something to look into for your own spec. Thankfully,
And
good.
I was about to say, and some of them, like they will be accessible by Mythic Week.
Probably.
It's assumed, yeah, probably. I wouldn't hold me to it, but it's assumed that you're going to be getting 2 renown the first week of the patch, 3 renown the second week, and 3 renown the third week, to be able to get you up to that 48 level at which you unlock your Covenant Legendary. Of course, you have to be able to get to 48 to be able to unlock it, so you need to make sure that you're caught up on the campaign. You're doing your weekly anima turn-in slash soul farm. Great,
Got to get
good
all
stuff.
20 of those souls. That's my favorite part of Shadowlands, is that the longer it's gone on, collecting 5 souls, that used to be easy and quick, but now I get to collect 20 souls, which is even more fun. Um,
Yeah, but it's heavily assumed that you're going to be able to get renown 48 by Mythic Week, and the legendaries are gated behind renown 48. So making sure that you're doing all of your content, really making sure that you're keeping current with that stuff, super important.
Yes. There are Wowhead guides that analyze the changes for each spec, which
Yeah,
include discussion within each spec about the Covenant legendaries. Now, some of these you're going to want to get a second opinion on, like this balance one. Go get some reputable sources there, but it's a good first look at where you might be getting good, cool new legendaries for. So, for instance, the Venthyr Balance Druid one is a potentially pretty interesting option. A lot of boomies are looking at going Venthyr to potentially play that thing. But it's not like you can read these for more analysis. There's a lot of potentially interesting ones of these, like Havoc Demon Hunter, Night Fae, cool Burst AoE legendary, like Ret Pally's Kyrian one, all the ones for Rogue maybe, all the ones for Resto Shaman maybe, the Venthyr and
yes.
Necrolord Warrior one. So look through these, look at the ones for your spec. There are a lot of cool ones, but most of them are ones that you can dismiss pretty quick.
Yeah, most of them are pretty bad. It's just a lot of them are just like cooldown reduction for your Covenant ability. That's like what a lot of them are is just like random auras. Like you'll get like additional stats whenever you press it, or you'll get cooldown reduction for it. And the opportunity cost just isn't there all the time for like actually using these legendaries, so they're not always the most compelling thing. But it is obviously by covenant, spec by spec, class by class basis, and you should just go check out that
Yeah, that's kind of
article
the reason
for.
that the rogue ones are maybe good, is because the rogue other legendaries were so bad
Yeah,
before.
rogue legendaries all just being a burning fire. They're just all awful.
um, but yeah, there are some interesting ones. A lot you don't need to worry too much about, but it's cool to look at, and some of them look pretty fun as well. In particular, some of them are like situationally useful or cool. So do look into these. Figure out if you're going to want to craft them. Again, renown 48 is the requirement to do that. That is all of the stuff we could think of, though, to explain about legendaries for patch 9.1. Let us know if there's anything we missed in the comments. We'll try and answer there. Thanks, everybody, for watching, though. Bye.